Welcome.
I used to love going to the gym at 2 a.m. I know. Most people think that's weird. But hear me out. I work the night shift at a packaging warehouse, so by the time I clock out, shower up, and drive across town, it's already midnight. And hitting the gym when it's dead quiet? Man, there's nothing like it. No dudes hogging the squat rack. No guys grunting like they're trying to bench press a whole SUV. Just me, the iron, and whatever playlist I had bumping through my earbuds. The gym I went to, Titan Fitness on Route 9, was one of those 24/7 spots. You scan your key card, walk in, do your thing. No staff after 10 p.m. Just cameras in the corners and a sign on the wall that said, "Lift safe. Lift smart." I always thought that sign was kind of corny, but I get it now. I really do. It started in early November. I remember because it was right after daylight saving time ended, so it was getting dark stupid early, and the whole vibe of the gym at night felt even more isolated than usual. I walked in around 1:30 a.m. on a Tuesday. Cold outside, maybe in the 40s. The heating in that building was always hit or miss, so I kept my hoodie on for the first 20 minutes while I warmed up on the treadmill. I did a lap around the floor, checked the free weights area, the machines, the stretching mats. Empty, like it always was. I was 45 minutes into my session, working through a chest and shoulder superset, when I heard it. A single, slow clang of metal. From the back of the gym, I pulled out one earbud. Waited. Nothing. I figured it was just one of those sounds old buildings make. Pipes, HVAC, whatever. Gyms are full of metal. Stuff shifts, expands, contracts. I put my earbud back in and kept going. But 10 minutes later, I heard it again. And this time it wasn't just one clang. It was rhythmic, like someone was actually lifting back there. Clang, pause, clang, pause. The back section of Titan Fitness was where they kept the older equipment. These big plate-loaded machines that nobody really used anymore, because the newer cable machines up front were way better. It was kind of dim back there too. Only half the lights worked, and management never seemed pressed to fix them. I grabbed my water bottle and walked to the back. The first thing I noticed was that one of the old bench press stations, this ancient, beat-up flat bench with a fixed bar rack, had weight on it. Like, a lot of weight. I'm talking 4 plates on each side. 405 pounds. The bar was resting in the rack like someone had just finished a set, but there was nobody there. I stood there for a second, genuinely confused. I mean, I had done a full walkthrough when I came in. Nobody was in the building. I was sure of it. Then I looked closer at the bar. It was wet. Not like damp, I mean slick. And when I leaned in and looked at the bench beneath it, the vinyl was dark. Stained. That iron smell hit me different right then. That wasn't sweat. I backed up. My heart was knocking against my ribs. I pulled out my phone to check the camera app. Titan had a member portal where you could see the live feeds if you wanted. The front door feed showed nobody had come in after me. The main floor feed showed me, alone, standing by the back machines. But the back section camera, the one pointed right at that old bench, was offline. Just a gray screen with a little spinning circle. I told myself I was tripping. I told myself there was a logical explanation. Maybe someone had set up those plates earlier that night, and the staff hadn't put the weights away. Maybe the wetness was cleaning solution. Maybe I was just tired from a double shift and my brain was filling in blanks. I decided to pack up and bounce. I went back to my stuff, stuffed my towel in my bag, and grabbed my keys. That's when I noticed the locker room door, the men's room in the back corner, was slightly open. Not wide open, just cracked. Enough to see darkness inside. I had not gone in there that night. I was sure of it. I stood there for probably 10 seconds, just staring at that sliver of dark. And then, from inside that locker room, I heard the sound of a locker slowly, deliberately clicking shut. I did not investigate. I want to make that very clear. I am not that guy. I grabbed my bag and I walked, fast, toward the front door. I scanned my key card on the way out, and I sat in my car for 10 minutes with the doors locked, just breathing. I went home, told myself it was nothing, and tried to sleep. 3 days later, I was back. Because that's what gym rats do, we shake it off. I did my session, everything was fine, and I felt stupid for freaking out. But I ran into a guy named Derek in the parking lot on the way out. He was a regular, mid-40s, big dude, always had a weightlifting belt hooked to his back. We'd nodded at each other plenty of times without ever really talking. That night he stopped me. "Hey, you go late night a lot, right?" he said. "Yeah," I told him. He looked at me for a second like he was deciding something. Then he said, "You ever see anybody back by the old bench press? Like real late?" My stomach dropped. "What do you mean?" He rubbed the back of his neck. "I've been coming here for like 6 years. About 2 years ago, guy had an accident back there. Late night, no spotter, tried to rep out 405. Bar came down on his throat. He paused. He didn't make it. I didn't say anything. Management just kinda quietly kept it moving. Replaced the bench, kept the equipment. But every now and then, guys who come in late," he shook his head. "They hear stuff. They see the bar loaded up." He looked me dead in the eye. "The camera's back there been offline since it happened. Every time they fix them, they go out again by morning." I canceled my Titan Fitness membership the next day. Signed up for a place on the other side of town that closes at midnight. I will never lift alone again. This happened to my boy Marcus, and he told me the whole story himself, so I'm telling it exactly the way he laid it out for me. Marcus was a serious lifter. Not just like, I go to the gym 4 times a week, serious. I mean, the dude tracked every macro, filmed every PR, had a training journal going back 3 years. He was built like a linebacker and disciplined like a monk. So when he tells you something scared him, you listen. He was prepping for a local powerlifting meet in the spring, which meant he was deep in a strength cycle. Heavy compound lifts, progressive overload, the whole nine. His regular training partner, a dude named Trey, had moved to Atlanta for work, so Marcus was flying solo for the first time in years. The gym he went to, Iron House, a small independent spot in an old strip mall, had a crew of regulars who usually trained in the evenings. But Marcus liked to come in at 6 a.m. before work. And at 6 a.m., Iron House was ghost town. One Thursday morning in late March, Marcus was hitting a max effort squat session. He had worked up to 455 pounds, a big lift for anyone. Now, he always used the squat rack safety pins as a backup, but for maximal lifts, he liked having someone physically present just in case. Not even to touch the bar necessarily, just to be there. He looked around the empty gym. Just him. He texted Trey. About to attempt 455. "Wish you were here, bro." Trey texted back. "Don't do it without a spotter, my guy." Marcus thought about it. Loaded the bar anyway. He said he felt dialed in that morning. Warm, focused, the kind of energy where you just know you've got it. He chalked up, got under the bar, unracked it. He hit depth. He drove. The rep was clean. He racked it. He was pumped. He turned around, breathing hard, and that's when he saw him. A man standing about 10 feet away, near the dumbbell rack. Just standing there, watching. Average height. Older, maybe late 60s. Wearing a plain gray sweatshirt and sweatpants, old school style. White hair, thick framed glasses. No bag. No water bottle. Just standing there with his arms at his sides, watching Marcus. Marcus's first reaction was just surprise. He hadn't heard anyone come in. The door had a pretty loud bell on it, the kind that goes off whenever it opens, and he hadn't heard it ring. "Hey, what's good?" Marcus said. The man didn't respond, just kept watching with this completely flat expression. Not mean, not friendly, just blank. Marcus figured the dude was maybe hard of hearing, or just one of those weird older guys who never talks at the gym. He turned back to the bar to strip the weight. He did 2 more sets, 405 and 365 for reps. And the whole time, every time he racked the bar and turned around, the old man was still there. Same spot, same posture, just watching. By the 3rd set, Marcus was low-key unsettled. "Bro, you need something?" he said, louder this time. "Nothing." The man just tilted his head slightly. That was it. Marcus started stripping the bar down faster than usual. He wanted to wrap up and leave. He had his back turned, pulling plates off the bar, and when he turned around again, the man was right behind him, like 2 feet away, close enough that Marcus could have reached out and touched him. Marcus stumbled backward into the rack, actually hit his shoulder on the steel, and yelled, "Wow!" The man looked at him, and then, in this low, even voice, he said, "Always use a spotter." And then he walked, calmly, not rushing, toward the back of the gym, through the door marked employees only, and was gone. Marcus stood there for a full minute. Then he went up to the front desk, where the morning staff member, a young woman named Priya, was just unlocking the register. "Yo, was someone just here?" Marcus said. "Older white dude, gray sweats." Priya looked up. "You're the first one in today?" Door alert would have gone off if anyone came in. "The door alert definitely didn't go off," Marcus said. "Someone was in here." Priya frowned and pulled up the entry log on her computer. "Your keycard scan is the only entry this morning," she said. "Nobody else has checked in." Marcus asked about the employees-only door. Priya told him it led to a storage closet and a utility room. Dead end, no exit. They checked. The storage room was empty. The utility room was empty. Marcus described the man to Priya. Her face did something weird when he finished. "What?" Marcus said. Priya turned her monitor around. On it was a framed photo on the wall behind her, a picture of a group of people standing in front of the gym. It looked like an old opening day photo. "Is that him?" she said, pointing to a man in the back of the group. Gray sweatshirt, white hair, thick glasses. "That's Gerald," Priya said quietly. "He founded this gym. He died in 2019. Freak accident. He was spotting a member on the bench, lost his grip, the bar." She stopped. "He never trained anyone the same way after. He always said the spotter was the most important person in the room." Marcus didn't go back to Iron House. But here's what really messes with me about this story. Marcus made every single lift that morning. Clean. No failed reps. No injuries. He said it wasn't until he was in his car, driving home, that he realized, every single time he was under that bar, he had never once felt alone. I'll be honest, I almost didn't post this because it still freaks me out to talk about. But my therapist says putting things out there helps you process them, so here we go. About 1.5 years ago, I was living in a high-rise apartment building in the city. Building had its own gym on the 3rd floor. Nice little setup, all things considered. A couple treadmills, an elliptical, a cable machine, a squat rack, free weights up to 80 pounds. Nothing crazy, but it was free with rent and open 24/7, so I used it almost every day. The thing about building gyms is they're usually pretty dead. Most residents don't really use them. So 9 times out of 10, I had the whole floor to myself. The gym was sandwiched between the stairwell on one end and a laundry room on the other. There were no windows, just fluorescent lights and mirrors on every wall. The mirrors were one of those things that seemed fine at first, and then, once you really thought about it, felt completely wrong at 11 p.m. when you're alone and every angle of yourself is staring back. It started with the smell. One night in July, I'm on the treadmill doing a tempo run, and I catch this smell. Musty, damp, like wet concrete mixed with something else I couldn't identify. My building was newer construction, only about 8 years old, so it struck me as weird, like the smell was out of place. I figured it was the laundry room. Didn't think much of it, but the smell kept coming back. Not every night, but maybe 2 or 3 times a week. Always the same, that wet, heavy smell. And I started noticing it always seemed strongest near the squat rack, which was in the far corner of the room. Then I started noticing the mirror. The gym had a full-length mirror mounted on the wall facing the squat rack. Standard stuff, so you can check your form. I use it all the time. But one night in August, I was doing overhead press and I glanced in the mirror and I saw something in the reflection behind me that made me stop cold. In the mirror, I could see the door to the stairwell, and there was someone standing just outside the little window in that door. Just a shape, Dark clothes, face close to the glass, looking in. I spun around. The window was empty. I told myself I had imagined it. Light playing tricks. I was tired. But after that, I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched while I was in there. Like the specific, crawling skin feeling of eyes on your back. I've had it before. You probably have too. And it's usually nothing. But this was consistent. Every single session, from the moment I walked through the door. I mentioned it to my neighbor, an older woman named Connie who had lived in the building since it opened. She went very quiet when I described it. "The gym on 3, she said. "Yeah." She looked at me in this careful way and said, "Honey, did they not tell you when you moved in?" They had not told me. About 5 years before I moved in, a resident, a guy who apparently used the gym obsessively, started acting erratic. Neighbors reported hearing him in the gym at all hours. 3 a.m., 4 a.m., just going at it. They could hear the weights through the ceiling and the walls. At some point, the building manager got involved, but the guy always answered his door normally, seemed fine, said he just had insomnia, and lifting helped. Then one night the sound stopped. Not gradually, just stopped. And 3 days later the smell started. The building maintenance crew investigated, and when they opened the door to the gym, Connie stopped there. She shook her head. "They renovated the whole floor afterward," she said. "New flooring, new paint, new equipment. But some of the residents, the ones who use it late, they still say they feel something in there." She paused. "I don't go on 3 after dark." I looked it up later. Couldn't find much. Building management had kept it quiet, but I found an old post on a neighborhood forum from around that time. Someone asking if anyone else had noticed the smell on the 3rd floor. A reply said, "I heard they found him near the squat rack, just sitting there, back against the mirror, like he was resting between sets." I moved my workout schedule to 6 a.m. after that. Broad daylight, other residents around, normal hours. But here's the thing that I think about sometimes, late at night when I can't sleep. For 3 months, every time I was alone in that gym, I felt like I was being watched, stared at, and the mirror facing the squat rack. I used it constantly, because you check your form, right? You're always looking at yourself in that mirror. But what if the feeling wasn't paranoia? What if something was on the other side of that mirror, looking back?